Good evening and welcome everyone to another episode of the Hog Talk podcast, coming to you live from the Sterling Soap and Roastery Studios, part of the Believe and Buzz Radio Network, where you can hear us each week on 106.7 Buzz 2 in Central Arkansas. All live shows are presented to you by Arkansas Brewing Company in downtown Ozark. I am Porter Hayes. Alongside me, as always, is Adam Hall. And tonight's show, we will talk about Arkansas getting a program record 4 first-round picks in the MLB Draft. We'll kind of break down what a couple of picks meant. We'll also break down Hunter Yurachek's tweet that shock around the world when it comes to the lawyers of the, I guess you would say, NIL getting paid. And then after our break, we'll have a little fun and talk about what if there was a chance that Nick Saban could be the next coach at the University of Arkansas. But first, we'll talk about the first round draft picks, last night's draft, first round. Gage Wood taken 26 overall to the Philadelphia Phillies. Aloy was selected 31st to the Baltimore Orioles. Zach Root and outfielder Charles Valion 40 and 41st, both to the Los Angeles Dodgers. So back-to-back picks, first day of the draft. I know Root was the one that was there was another one that was drafted today. Not Root, but who was there a couple that were drafted today?
Yes. Hold on right quick. I knew this morning, but then work happened.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Let's see. Not too long ago, Brent Iredale got drafted 7th round, pick 203 to the Pirates. Round 16, pick 485, Parker Coyle to the Brewers. Then we've seen round 16. Oh, that was the same one. Round 11, pick 336, Justin Thomas Jr. to the Astros. Oh, man. You had the Giants in the 8th round select Ben Bybee. You had... That was the Brent Iredale round 7, 203. Yeah, so there were several more today, and I think you had Vital Cheese go to the Braves in the 6th round. And you had Jimenez go in the 5th round to the Royals. And who is this right here? I wish these were more in order. Christian Fouch in the 5th round to the Red Sox. And yeah. So all over the place, and I'm curious too, because you never know who's going to actually go in those later rounds, who's going to return and whatnot. So it doesn't always mean anything in those late rounds.
And also, I didn't have a chance to look. I mean, this isn't accounting for any of these high school recruits that are Arkansas targeted. So, I mean, we're just talking about the 4. And then there was a couple of questions, Adam brought to my attention on last night's show. They're talking about the CBA rounds, the CBA picks. What that is since the 2023 draft, part of the new collective bargaining agreement, the general draft order, in the first round, based on a lottery participated by 18 teams, which didn't make the postseason in the past season, to determine the first 6 picks in the draft, with the 3 worst clubs having equal picks. So pretty much who gets competitive balance picks? It's the 10 lowest revenue clubs at the club from the 10 smallest markets. So what it is they're just making it to where it's again, competitive balance. So Adam had some technical difficulties, so we'll continue on until he comes back. But program record makes that the 14th overall first round picks for Arkansas. Jeff King back in 86 was first overall. Then Heston Kjerstad second overall back in 2020. So you talk about Arkansas never had multiple first round draft picks in any previous draft, and now they have 4. Just tells you the talent that this baseball team has. And you hate to see how things ended with the baseball season, but congratulations to, all four and everybody else who gets drafted. And we'll keep an eye on, the slot values. And of course, we'll have the contract when they come out, we'll post. But until Adam gets back, we'll break down, or I'll dive into. Earlier this week, Hunter Yurchek had made a tweet about the lawyers getting their share, getting $750 million for their payment. And it's one of those things. I know we're late to the party talking about this, but it's his tweet says the attorneys filed suit because they cared, in parentheses, so much about the student athletes. What are the chances they're going to share this revenue with student athletes? And title of the tonight show is Read the Room. And for that reason, I even said, it's funny that the person who has publicly said that Walmart and Tyson are not going to save your football program, you say that they cared. This is also somebody that let go one of the right-hand men, one of the top guys there at Arkansas, and Kevin Trainor. And people are saying that without notice. It's one of those things that this isn't something that we originally thought that, okay, maybe he knew he's going to take he's going to take a slot with the Razorback Foundation. It's come out that Basil has even said, he calling it BS. And so just when you think that things couldn't get worse for the athletic program, the athletic director, when you're saying things like this publicly, and Adam, I don't know if he's got somebody doing this or he did it himself, but you have to know that when you put something like this out, where it's going to land. And I don't know what the deal was, but I just really seen this as just one of the most tone deaf things he could ever say, especially with making the cuts, letting people go to make room for this revenue, and that you had plenty of time to prepare for. This is not something that, okay, we're throwing this in your lap, now find room for $20 million. You had plenty of time to get this in order, and now it's costing your staff and other colleges' staffs to make room for this when you're at a surplus revenue of 40 something, 50 something $million.
Whether it's him or not, I kind of get the feeling. I mean, he's one that I think that he's putting out all of his own tweets, all of his own.
Yeah.
It's not like the different teams' social media accounts. This is the athletic director. Just like I feel like Cal runs his, Coach Pittman runs his, etc. The funny part is I don't think he's put anything out since this tweet, and part of me almost feels like this would be something that it didn't go your way, it didn't land the way that you wanted to. We call it dirty deleting in this world, and screenshots last forever. He hadn't done that, but you would think he would try to bury it, maybe with some other posts or whatever. And if he wants to stand on it, then by all means stand on it. At the same time, like I said last night, it doesn't come off very well coming from him when he doesn't have the fans in their best interest.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've all seen that. I said it last night with renovations. We're adding premium suites. We're reseating the season ticket holders that in Bud Walton that have had their season tickets for however long, 30 years. Doing all these things. We're adding a 3% concession on the concessions. We're upping season ticket prices year in, year out. I mean, just the handful of all this stuff. It's like, you're not in this for the fans. Can't go as far as saying it. You're 100% in this for the players, because while you've been the first university with a NIL collective, you've done nothing with it. So in reality, it's like I feel like it's tough, because you sit here and you want the players to be in, to him to have their best interest, but you didn't grab a hold on NIL. then with revenue sharing, it was just, oh, everybody just hold on. Everybody just hold on. Everybody just hold on. This will all be worked out. But in reality, it's everybody's getting the 20.5 million. It's not some advantage that you tried to make it out to be. You still, okay, yeah, you got a raffle to go, but that's going to the Razorback Foundation to do with what they please. I feel like they're just multiple swings and misses on his part. And like you were saying, and like I said, it's all about the bottom line. That's all this matters. His job is secure. His job is safe because the majority of the programs are winning programs. You're in the black. You're, top 10, top 15 year in and year out on directors' cups and where your athletic department ranks on all the other things. You've had 1 foot in, 1 foot out when it comes to other AD positions that have opened up across the country. I just don't buy anything anymore. I really don't.
And to me, it's because the fact that where your football program sits, 7-6, 4-8, 7-6. And if you, however you want to count these bowl wins and these bowl games now, whatever. I mean, if that's how you want to brag that you're a 7-win program, hey, have at it. But it's the fact that the state of your program right now, you need to make as much revenue as possible. I understand those things, but when you're taking seats away from people, you could raise the prices of the product. And as long as you're not messing with the people's seats, they're going to pay the money because they're fans. If you're not sitting here saying, well, we're going to renovate Bud Walton Arena when we're having a hard time filling 19.2 at the height of the program to put these luxury seats in, everybody sees what's going on. And you're taking away from your common fan to make room for bigger donors. But what are they investing in? Who is going to invest $50,000, $100,000, $150,000 in a 7-6 program? And that's at your best. You had a 9-win season, and then 7-6, 4-8, 7-6. Who is going to invest in a mediocre program? And it was funny when you told me about the design of that shirt. It's funny you brought it out, and it's like mediocre, live with it. And and you're saying more things that yes, we have to live with mediocrity. And we have people again saying, well, that's the mantra of stupid people. Well, you have your athletic director sitting there saying, I'm going to put Walmart and Tyson on my football field, but I'm not going to use that money to help the football program, which funds everybody else, which you could make enough money with the Walmart and Tyson deals where you could give players money and funnel your NIL or the 20.5 million or what have you to where you're not taking away from the fans. It's the worst time possible because how many people you're already looking at the schedule in this season and you're like, where's the wins? Where's the fans going to come from? And where's this fan base going to be in October?
Well, there's some out there that think that they're going to be on a clear path to the college football playoff at 9-0 to start the season. But and then with the Razorback Stadium, whenever that's going to be renamed, this year, next year, whenever it is, however that deal gets worked out, whoever's name is going to be on it, I just look at this as it's going to be another money grab for the foundation, for the athletic department as a whole, but it's not going to do anything to benefit any of the teams. And when I say that, I'm talking about now with revenue sharing, now, with NIL, with this, that, and the other. Nothing that's being done. We're just essentially waiting on whether it's the fans in NIL, whether it's another John Tyson, or this revenue sharing. We're waiting. And when I say we, I mean Hunter Yurchek, the athletic department. They're waiting on somebody else to come along and fix it, to pay for it.
Yep.
They're expecting somebody else to. They're not being proactive about it. Yeah, let's be proactive. We're going to have the first NIL collective, and nothing happens. Yep. I feel like we want to do things to put our own names out there, as in his being the athletic director, He wants to get in back and forth with Jay Billis however many years ago when it came down to NIL and how much money the program was making or the athletic department's making and all this. A lot of it's a look at me thing,
Yeah.
and not everything else. It's not what's going to benefit this football team more. Hey, we've been mediocre, we've been middle of the road, we've been middle of the pack for the past 5 seasons going into the 6th season. So let's just keep things at bay and we'll come back to it later. It's like you're waiting for the bottom to fall out before trying to get a solution in place. And I get it. You've had some bad buyouts. And that's between you and the agents of those coaches.
Yep.
We've all said that a lot of these coaches' buyouts are ridiculous. I mean, honestly, like Jimbo Fisher's obviously the world's worst. But then you throw in, if it wasn't for Arkansas and the opportunity for Coach Calipari, I mean, Kentucky would have had a major buyout with him if they wanted to change things. So that worked out for both parties there. But between the buyouts and the bad deals, all this stuff, it's like, so are we just waiting for those buyouts to end or to be paid out? Are you waiting for the true bottom to fall out before you decide, okay, a change needs to be made? I mean, because you're looking at what? I mean, Pittman's now been here the second longest behind Houston Nutt in the past however many years.
Yeah.
So, and it's one of those things that you're telling us that, hey, guess what? We've got all these track championships. We've now got a Hall of Fame coach in basketball. Baseball and softball are doing their thing, holding their own. Soccer's on the up and up. Volleyball's on the up. I mean, and it's like, so you're content. And I think content's the best word as an athletic director, because everything else is right or everything else is on the up and up. So we don't need to worry about the program that brings in over half of our revenue. That's essentially what I feel like saying is we're content with it. And maybe we'll get somebody that comes along like Texas Tech did and say, hey, we're going to fund this.
The only play where I would completely say, all right, I had this all wrong. I had you wrong, Hunter. You see all this, we're jumping on him, we're kicking him while he's down. The only play that I have on that, which we'll kind of touch playfully in the second segment, is a coaching change. If he knows a coaching change is coming, if he knows he's getting that buyout down to where if he does it, the buyout drops after next year or whatever. And then, Taylor Green will more than likely go. You're having to rebuild and start over. So why not give Taylor Green? Why not give Bobby Petrino this one last year to try to fix things? But more than likely, they kind of know, okay, this is your last year. We're going to just completely revamp the program. And so now he's having to make all this room because he knows next year you're going to have to need as much money as possible to bring in a new coach, to bring in new talent. You're talking about rock bottom. To me, I know you can look at these records and go 7-6, 4-8, and 7-6, but to me they're there because I don't see, and I'm going to include this year in that when I'm saying rock bottom. I'm talking about at the end of the season. I don't see where you're getting 6 wins. So if he knows that, all right, this is a really tough schedule, we're going to lose a lot of games. More than likely, we're going to look for a new coach. What if he is? What if he is not playing us, but he knows what he's doing and he's just waiting? That's the only way I could really say, all right, I see where he's going.
That's a strong possibility. Because, I mean, if you're an athletic director, if you're a coach, if you're, if you come out and say, hey, this is make it or break it. This is the make it or break it season. I mean, you've basically all but screwed your recruiting. Even though it's not the greatest as it is, but we've seen those teams before that you do a coaching change. And that's why I'm against mid-season coaching changes, because then you just completely lose whatever recruiting momentum that you very well could have had, unless you just have a home run hire in your back pocket.
Yeah.
But it's one of those that, and that's been the possibility, because of course, I mean, Coach Pittman's going to come out and say, like he said previously, like, hey, like, I plan to be here the next 3 years. Well, of course you do.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to come out and be like, yeah,
Well,
well,
hell, he's getting paid $6 million to do this job. I mean, why wouldn't you until
yeah.
he tells me to hit the road?
And so I totally get that. Like, who's going to come out and say, like, no, this might be it? You're not going to do that. But at the same time, it's like, and now you bring in that, like, maybe they thought, like, hey, we can't just move on from this because we did make a bowl game, because we did this, we did that. So we're going to, maybe it's going to take not making a bowl game.
Yeah. And you also got to look at the timing. And look, I'm just going to spend a couple minutes playing devil advocate because, I mean, just for the sake of looking at the timeline. All right. You get this $20 million in June or July. What money can you really throw at quality players that can change your program this year? If you've already thrown in the towel on, and in the professional game, you call it tanking. What if they knew, all right, we have all this money, we're going to give our players what they deserve, or we're going to dish it out this way, because who are we going to able to really truly bring in that can change this program to where Sam keeps his job? I don't see it. You don't see them flocking and running like basketball, where you can get 2, 3, 4 guys off of other schools, like what Arkansas is doing, along with what talent you're getting. And automatically you're saying that's a Elite Eight program. Not saying Arkansas is going to go to the Elite Eight, but they have an Elite Eight program right now with their roster, with what they've got.
And even if you did throw all the money, say you go get a 5-star quarterback, well, guess what? In football, then you need an offensive line. I mean, there's more pieces to it. So it's like, you can't just go out and get, I mean, I kind of look back to that Texas Tech lineman, the $5 million guaranteed or whatever it is, and them talking about, his revenue share of being around $775,000 per year. And I'm just looking at that, and it's because, the estimates that we put out, or that we showed that had been put out by somebody else, just showed what the average was based on 105 players being on the football roster. We don't know if it's going to be divvied out easily. We don't know if there's, hey, starters are getting X amount, second strings getting X amount, freshmen are getting this amount. Well, I mean, we have no clue. It was just the easiest way to do it was divided easily, or divided evenly. And I never got into really thinking about, like, hey, are you going to pay your quarterback more? Are you going to pay your stud linebacker more? Are you going to, that's to be taken into consideration. Are things like that going to cause locker room divide? Because we've talked about that with NIL, like when KJ was here, when he rolled up in the Corvette and had gotten, a fairly decent sized NIL deal. And then people were wondering, like, hey, is that why the offensive line has been like it is? Because they're getting, barbecue from Wrights, and KJ's rolling up in a new Corvette. So those are things that I question. Or do you just say, hey, we've got to spread things out evenly so that everybody's happy in a sense?
So this article right here, again, I don't know, by Josh Jurish from Soaring Glory. This is powered by Fansided. So again, take it for how you wish with the source. But if Sam Pittman were to, let me pull it up again. All right, because this is talking about his buyout, because he's on the hot seat. If Pittman is fired without cause and his record is above 500, he will be due 75% of his remaining base salary. So if his record would be above 32-31, he will be owed $3.7 million of his $5 million base salary for the 27 season. That's the final year on that 5-year extension signed in 22. If Pittman were to finish 4-8 or worse and fall below 500, he would be owed $2.5 million of his 2027 base salary and 50% of supplemental compensation. So supplemental compensation, the max annual bonus he could get would be $1.45 million. So the largest his buyout would be $4.8 million going into next year. So again, I mean, this could be something that he's like, all right, this is it. either you get above 500 and you show promise of another 7-8 win year, or if you don't, now your buyout's probably going to be, let's go back to that figure again, 2.5 and then whatever bonuses, whatever. So maybe in between 2.5 and 3 million.
But would that not be over 2 seasons? Because this is the 25, then we'd still have 26 and 27. So that would be 2 more seasons. So they would pay that out twice. So say if he got,
it's not included. I'm just, and I could be, you could be right. This is what the article was going off of, and the fact that, well, we got to think it could be the 26, 27. I don't know. Again, football, it's yearly, but I mean, even so, if it was more than that, I mean, so 2.5 million, double that. But
so that's what I was thinking. You'd be looking anywhere between $5 and $9 million
so
total.
And then so basically, if he went, he would be owed whatever his base was. He would be due 75% of that. But if it was lower, then it's 50% or 50% of the supplement. So if he's thinking, he's looking at this schedule and he's like, okay, this is what he's going to get. But I get confused because at the end of the article, he says after the 2025 season, the largest buyout would be 4.8 million. So I don't know. We'll go off of that. It's just what I'm getting at is the point is if Hunter knows, okay, this is make or break and it's not looking promising, would this change? Let's throw this out here before we go to break. If this is his play all along and he is just kind of like, look, I don't see Sam getting out of this hole. We're going to save money. We're going to cut ties, and we're just going to totally rebuild this program. We're going to bring in a killer coach. Do you think the fans would forgive him? Do you think the fans would be like, all right? Or would it depend on who the coach is?
Depend on who the coach is. I think immediately off the bat, the first reaction would be took him long enough, too little, too late. Then, of course, we would. The only thing I would say is, it would do. All the shows like us would benefit from it, just for the fact because then we'd have months of speculation and flight tracking and things of that nature. But it would all come down to the hire because at that point you're going to, unless it's a home run hire, big name, you're going to second guess everything from here on out. You're any coach that that gets brought up in it because we almost saw it in really in basketball we had names being thrown out there. Chris Beard was the hot, like it's all but done. It's this, it's that, and then he gets his deal, his extension is raised at Ole Miss, and so everybody thought that we whiffed again. Here it goes, and then Cal came out of nowhere, and I think that if you don't have something similar to that you've got this star-studded name, you can't get anybody that's trying to make a name for themselves. You can't get anybody that's up and coming. You've got to get somebody that's established, or you're going to have fans that aren't going to buy in. We're going to be right back where we were in the beginning, but I think in the beginning of Pittman, but I think even more down than we were previously.
Yeah. And there has been rumors. Hearsay rumors. I mean, you got SEC media days and stuff that there is a high profile former SEC coach that wants to get back in the ranks, Nick Saban. So, we'll talk about that next segment, but it brings up the question, what if he was that choice? What if Hunter Yurachek could get him talked into? And I know first reaction thought of this is like, ha, 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 it will never happen. But really kind of think about it. And what would that effect have on Arkansas? And we'll talk about it after the break. Searching for premium brewery products that will take your daily routine to the next level? Look no further than Sterling Soap Company. Our handmade soaps, aftershaves, and balms are made with only the finest ingredients that give you the ultimate grooming experience. With a variety of scents to choose from, there's something for everyone. Plus, our products are crafted in small batches to ensure the highest level of quality. So why wait? Visit www.sterlingsoap.com or visit our retail store at 16 West Walnut Street in Paris, Arkansas. Shop our collection and discover the difference for yourself. Upgrade your grooming routine with Sterling Soap Company. Are you looking for a place to grab a cold drink and some delicious food? Look no further than Arkansas Brewing Company. Located at 201 South 1st Street in beautiful downtown Ozark, our establishment offers a wide selection of craft beers and tasty eats. But what sets us apart is our welcoming atmosphere and friendly staff. At Arkansas Brewing Company, you'll always feel like part of the family. So visit Destiny and Christopher Brockett and staff today and see for yourself what makes us the go-to spot for locals and visitors alike. Arkansas Brewing Company, come for the drinks and stay for the friends. Attention DIYers and home improvement enthusiasts. Are you searching for the right tools and the supplies to tackle your next project? Look no further than Mentor's Hardware Store. With locations in Ozark, Alma, and Clarksville, our vast selection of hardware and building materials is sure to have everything you need. Whether you're fixing a leaky faucet or building a new deck, plus our knowledgeable staff is always on hand to offer expert advice and guidance. And with our competitive prices and convenient online ordering, Mentor's Hardware Store is your one-stop shop for all your DIY needs. Visit us today and let's build something amazing together. Are you looking to take your career to the next level? Look no further than ATU Ozark Campus. As a 2-year satellite campus of Arkansas Tech University, we're dedicated to a quality workforce education, industry partnerships for in-demand jobs, and tailored paths for success. Our programs are led by industry professionals. Whether it's a certificate or you're aiming for a graduate degree, ATU Ozark has you covered. Visit our website at www.atu.edu/Ozark or contact us at 479-667-2117. Your future begins here. Welcome to Ozark Area Chamber of Commerce, where our mission is simple: encourage, promote, and aid an enduring environment of shared economic opportunity and civic development for the Ozark, Arkansas area. Whether you're a local business owner or a resident, we've got something for you. Shop our unique local businesses, explore the beauty of Ozark, and savor local flavors and find cozy accommodations. Join us in building a stronger community. And to learn more, contact us at 479-667-2525. Remember, together we thrive. And welcome back to the Hog Talk podcast. And Adam, give you a little time to think about it. Fans think about it, but really deep dive in the fact that there's been talks of Saban wanting to return. And if he is, because I know, he's been on College Game Day, and I don't know how his thoughts are, how he's getting along with, Pat McAfee and the guys there. But if they do in some realm pull this off, and if he could get enough bag to throw at Saban to give him, to bring him to Arkansas, what do you think that would do for the fans? What do you think that would do for, you're talking about recruiting and starting over, the transfer portal? How much of an immediate impact do you think that would have on Arkansas?
I mean, the sky's the limit, essentially. You'd have, I don't even want to say a refresh Nick Saban, because I feel like he's one that he just, kept going. Like, he didn't need the refresher. It was just, I think a lot of the time just had to do with NIL. And that's why some of this, I feel like there's still a drawback to it. I don't know. I'm not saying that I don't believe it by any means, but I just feel like it's something that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's one of those that, you bring it up like with College Game Day and all them. I don't think there's any issues there. You get the general sense of camaraderie that they have with each other. I think if anything, it's the detest, if you will, of how things have gone since he has left, especially obviously at Alabama. I don't think that You can't say that. If he were to come back to Alabama and say, I want my job back, they would take it on in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think that happens. Would it be in Arkansas, a team like Arkansas, if he were to do it? Maybe it's something that he looks at. Hey, they've got this revenue sharing now. They've got GMs now, so that he doesn't necessarily have to deal with the business side of things. He can just worry about coaching. Anywhere, if he wants to come back, anywhere he goes, you're going to immediately have the upper echelon of recruits. You're going to have one of the top recruiting classes. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So he completely bolsters anything that you've done previously if he, gets on board. Doesn't matter the team.
Yeah.
I mean, we're already seeing this, high profile recruits go to different teams, whether it's NIL, whether it's revenue sharing. I mean, you're seeing it just for new coaches, new names. We're seeing it, with Michael Vick. We're seeing it out at Sac State with what they've got with NIL. So we started to see it in North Carolina with Bill Belichick, but who knows what's going to end up happening there. But when you're talking about college football, Nick Saban's name holds a bit different weight than Bill Belichick when it comes to the world of college football.
Absolutely.
So, he comes in, you don't even have to have a question anymore about recruiting. You don't even have to have a question anymore about your staff. You're going to literally he has the keys to the castle with wherever he steps foot in. So at that point, you give him what he wants.
And along with his rehab program that he has for coaches.
I mean, so it's one of those that if he comes to any university or if he throws any name out there or any school, it would be welcomed with open arms, in my opinion, no matter the coach, no matter the team. I feel like if Nick Saban comes back and says, hey, I want to coach this team, you let him do it, no matter what school it is.
And Transpilot Texas says Hunter doesn't get it with Saban on his own. And we know that, which leads me to that second point. If Hunter really reached out to donors or whoever and says, look, we can legitimately get Saban, are you on board? People hand over fists would be like, I am giving you a blank check. Because one, it's the South. Football reigns supreme over any program. This would be right here monumental. It would be a monumental hire, just like the fact that you brought in Cal. And Dave Van Horn is on his way out. But could you imagine the trio of Saban, Cal, and Dave Van Horn all at Arkansas, brought to you by the fact that you can get NIL. You can bring in money to give these people. And it's funny, Adam, when we first started talking about this, it was like, all right, let's have fun with this. But in a glimmer, not really a glimmer of hope, it's the fact that the whole coaching thing with Cal and how money can talk and how everything's going, it is not out of the realm of the possibility of this happening. Because you look at Arkansas and what it can be, he comes to Arkansas, his nostalgia and his presence, Arkansas feeds off nostalgia. And you have a high-profile guy like him coming back and like you said, new GM, new way of doing things. You have a collective. You have revenue sharing, and you can get whatever you want for this football program. They've already proven they're going to give 15 million of the 20 to the football program on top of whatever. People would be giving the players money. They wouldn't have to worry about NIL if you brought Saban in. So I think it would be monumental, but like you brought up a drawback, mine would be, is it too late? Did Saban leave because of the NIL? Can he survive the NIL era of college football?
I think that now having this landscape of GMs, I think it's a stronger possibility. Maybe he jumped out too early in that sense, because that's all. I mean, yes, GMs were a thing, but they weren't what they are over the last 6 months to a year. I think you then just honestly worry about Does he do it for the sake of wanting to, say, turn around a program? Does he want to turn around a program? Does he want some pieces already in place, whether it's recruiting players or, whatever the case may be? Does he go to a team that has the bank in their back door? Does he look at a Texas Tech? Does he look at a SMU? Does he look at these teams that money's not an option? They don't have to worry about it. Or does he want to go somewhere that he knows the level of competition is what it is, and so he wants to come back to the SEC?
And I think, honestly, you brought up the money's no option. If he decided he wanted to come here, money would not be an option at Arkansas. Money would not be an option for your football, basketball, and baseball program, because you look at the Hunts behind the baseball program, Tyson behind the basketball program. If Saban decided, Arkansas would be what we knew when they first come out with this Tyson money and the Chicken Man with the basketball program. You would have no worries about money at Arkansas. And there's plenty of it. Yeah. And it is like SMU money.
Mm-hmm. So it's, I think, far-fetched. It's something for us to talk about, for everybody to ponder on. At the same time too, I don't know what McElroy and Nick Saban's relationship is this day. I assume he probably still has a decent relationship, especially with former quarterbacks and stuff. But when I see stuff like this, with former players turn analysts, turn UFL quarterbacks, whatever they want to do, I look at some of this as we've put our analyst glasses on, and we don't really have that relationship with that coach anymore, because I feel like you wouldn't be talking about this if you and Saban still had a close relationship.
Yeah.
So I look at this as a conversation. Somebody said something, he's grabbing it and running with it, which is what we're doing right now too. I don't see it coming to fruition. Obviously, if it did happen, yes, like you're saying, wherever he wants to go, and if he called up Hunter Yurachek, and said, "Hey, I want to take this over," I guarantee you, a few phone calls, whatever money needed to be had would be there the next day.
And you look at your coaching staff, and I do not even know the relationship between Saban and Bobby Petrino. But you think about a guy coming in, and you have a offensive mind like Bobby Petrino. You have T. Will. You have a promise, if you can get the recruits, and you got a staff, plus all of your consultants, that you can hire on. It wouldn't like he would have to rebuild a coaching staff and a program. He's got similar in place where you can build it up, and maybe you can run with what you have with the coaching staff. But the fact that maybe, like you brought up a good point, of maybe he jumped the gun, maybe he got out of it. He's like, man, all right, I think I could go back and do something. And why not go to a school like Arkansas, who would be willing to pay you whatever you wanted to come here? Arkansas is in dire need of a change. So why not?
Mm-hmm.
Why not come for 3 years and see, or 2 years or whatever? But also, another thing I'll add to this, and this is another reason why at Arkansas, if he did, he has already solidified his legacy as the GOAT. All right. He could come here and be like a Chad Morris at Arkansas, and he would never tarnish his legacy. I would say it would be like Jordan playing for the Wizards. It's not going to change his legacy of being the greatest player of all time. This wouldn't hurt his legacy if he come to Arkansas and it just didn't work out. He's already done what he's done in the landscape of college football, that he is the greatest coach of all time. And you know what? Maybe it would be a payback for Bear Bryant. Was supposed to come to Arkansas, and we're talking about the fate or what have you, and Bear Bryant went to Alabama. Why not repay the favor and Saban come to Arkansas?
Strong possibility if it were to. There'd be storylines all around it, and like you're saying, Nick Saban coming back wherever he goes. If it didn't pan out, if it was honestly ugly, yeah, his legacy would still be there. It would be completely different than, say, like what me bringing him up earlier, what Bill Belichick's doing, because it's not what Bill Belichick is doing in North Carolina. It's like, hey, you're still, when it comes to NFL coaches, arguably the best. And y'all can get in your Tom Brady debates all you want. I don't care. But at the same time, it's like now I feel like Belichick trying to do what he's doing at UNC. There's so much drama surrounding his girlfriend and his outside life. It's like, hey, it's not tarnishing your NFL legacy, but it's making you a bit of a laughing stock. Just when it comes to that, like, hey, you should have just rode off into the sunset and been done with it. Maybe you try to come back to an NFL team for a year or two, but trying to come in and completely change a college football program that you truly don't have quite the understanding, I don't think, that you thought you would of how college football operates in that sense. And then plus you bring in a 20-something-year-old girlfriend that's just causing issues. Like you're making a mockery of it. And so that's where I feel like that would be completely separate. It's not like Nick Saban's trying to go back to the NFL to redeem himself for the Miami Dolphins. It's just a matter of, hey, I've got the itch. Obviously, college football is where I belong. I mean, hell, I wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility as, does he go give Michigan State another shot? Or does he want to come, does he just want to stay in the SEC because he knows it so well? I mean, you look at LSU, Alabama, why not throw Arkansas in the mix?
Yeah, why not? I mean, we're talking about curses. If Saban were to become the football coach, would that lift the Arkansas curse? I mean, you were thinking of just we could go anywhere with this, and we might even discuss it on the Thursday show. I don't know what's more going to be said about this, but I really think in the setting, if this was said at SEC Media Day, then knowing this was going to get back to Saban, I mean, if this wasn't true that he was wanting to get back into coaching, I don't think he would have said it knowing that, all right, he's going to get me for this, what have you, or he could have just been like, yeah, I wouldn't mind giving it a shot. And he took it and ran with it, but it is, like I said, when I first we talked to you about this and we're like, well, let's talk about it. It's like, hey, let's have fun with it. But really, the more I thought about it, it's like, okay, what if this is legit? What if that could really happen? If it could, what would it do to the program? And then, the Hunter Yurachek thing of it. And I'm not saying he knows now he's going to get Nick Saban. I'm not trying to say that at all. But if he was able to pull this off, and he was saved by John Calipari with the basketball program because we didn't know what we were going to get, and all of a sudden, boom, he's there. And then guess what? If say Hunter Yurachek wants to move on, what if he does want to go to another program, or he's not feeling Arkansas anymore? You're passing the torch to somebody. Look at your coaching lineup and the possibilities of Dave Van Horn. Who's he going to pass the torch to? He's not going to be here much longer. You're setting up the program for success. And I think that it would take a Saban-like hire to change the program to where it needs to be, to give the fans their expectations in a short amount of time. But to a fan base that deserves it. And Adam, we've talked about this many times on this show about what the fans deserve. One of the most loyal fan bases in all of college sports, because of everything that's been going on. They're still there. They still show up until they're ready to make a change. And then you've seen what happens to 25,000 in the stadium, because they're like, all right, enough's enough. We're going to hit you where it counts. We're not coming to the games. We need a coaching change. So, but all this talk could be, I mean, Arkansas could go on a crazy run. You never know. I mean, the media outlets putting it out there that 9-0 start off, but the same media outlet brought out that, there's naming rights already done, or it's going to be finished up. So you're at a point now where I want to talk about the naming rights just for a second before we go. I think if somebody was really interested, they would have already done that. What if they can't find? I can't remember what comment section, or if it was on a show or on a message board. I seen somebody make the comment of, well, they're struggling to find a donor for the naming rights. What if that happened? What if they did have somebody in mind in this article that came out saying that it was already a done deal, or they know spooked somebody off, and now they're scrambling to find somebody to pony up the money for the naming rights?
That's a strong possibility. And you kind of look at that, hey, maybe, the logos on the courts and the fields, and, if we ever do get them on the jerseys, like maybe that's the extent that Walmart and Tyson want to go. They don't want their name on in a stadium.
Yeah.
So
They want to
there's a lot of possibilities.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe they're like, hey, we're going to do this because we're not going to do that. Because, it was all, I kind of look at it, and I hadn't honestly thought about this side of it, but maybe they're like, hey, we're on the field and the court, so we're not going to be on the stadium. Like, don't ask us.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's, hey, can we get the Hunts? Can we get Stevens? Can we get this? Can we get that? Do we re-up with Don W. Reynolds, not change anything? Do we this? Do we? I mean, there's a lot of questions, but that's also a lot of money. How's that going to affect revenue sharing and things of that nature?
Yeah. And there's bigger companies. I mean, you look down in the River Valley, look at ArcBest per se. What if, a company is growing like ArcBest is, and they're like, hey, look, let's just throw a bone. What if you could get a company like that? Somebody that's not plastered on, but they're want to grow their brand, or they have the money to pony up. What about Banco ZK? What's their money situation like? Simmons, Simmons Bank Arena. You have all these companies that have money, and the fact that, hey, we just need you donate this amount of money, we're going to put you on the stadium. So the possibilities, the money in Arkansas, it's there. And I just know we go deep in this. We get, into it, passionate about it, because we know how much the football program needs to change. We know how much, if you're going to take the seats away from us, you're going to add concession tax, you're going to add all this. At least give us a decent football program. Mm-hmm. That's all everybody asked for.
There's a lot of questions around it. Obviously, I think that the number one thing on the list, probably at this point, will be naming rights out of anything to happen, just because that's coming up done.
Yeah.
So we'll see how things go. Thursday, Arkansas will be Coach Pittman and the three players will be on at media days. I believe they're at 1 p.m. We'll see what comes out of that. We know it's a lot of coach speak. We know that Sam always has quotes afterwards. Media loves them. I would rather hear 4 days of player interviews versus coaches, but at the same time, we'll see what they have to say throughout the week.
Yeah. Well, thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you for all of our sponsors, all of our listeners for tuning in. I know we went down a big rabbit hole with the Saban talk, but I really do want to, make it a point. It's nothing that, again, it's nothing that's close to even happening. It's nothing that's even mentioned. It's just, there was talk today of him wanting to get back into coaching, and we're like, hey, why not Arkansas? Making a case for Arkansas. So 6 months from now, if it don't happen, hey, don't come back to us and say, well, we're trying to report it. We're just trying to have discussion of what it would mean if he was. And we got to look back at the coaching hires of Musselman. You got to look at the coaching hires of Cal and how much they changed the program, the basketball program. And, with the day of revenue sharing and it helping out other programs, we joked about, the women's golf program getting $28 per. What would happen if you had those three lineup and you had year-round revenue and it upped the money for everybody else? That's the biggest thing with me. You're bringing in more revenue for the football program. You're not having to let people go. You've got all the money you want coming into this program, and other programs could benefit from it as well. So, but again, Adam, you got anything else?
Nope.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll come back to you and catch you on Thursday.